Alabama and LSU are meeting in Death Valley. The winner, good chance of making the playoffs. The loser, probably out. Let's talk about this game, Blythe.
Yes, let's talk about it. But most importantly, let's talk about this game for these coaches. Brian Kelly's in year three, Kalen DeBoer year one. This feels like a massive game for both of these coaches. And as a football fan, I fully expect to see the best versions of both of these teams on Saturday.
I think they're definitely going to show up for this big moment. Both Alabama and LSU are 6-2 right now. They cannot afford a third loss if they hope to stay in the CFP conversation. I mean, this is going to be an intense playoff elimination game under the lights of Death Valley, which is one of the loudest venues in college football. I know Bama thought Neyland was loud, but Death Valley is louder, especially at night. It is the ultimate tailgate place. These people are ready to root for their team, to scream, to throw the other team's offense off guard. This game is going to be absolutely electric. But looking at Alabama, they're coming off a 34 to nothing win against Missouri. They enter this game with defensive momentum, pretty much healthy, minus Keon Stab, who is out with a foot injury, another player on their special teams. So they're going to be a little shifting in there. But Alabama's co-defensive coordinator emphasized that their standard is all about the process, not the scoreboard. And that really did show against Mizzou. So we're going to see if it's going to show against LSU as well. And then obviously Jalen Milroe, he has that dual threat ability, particularly with his mobility on his feet. That's where he hums in this offense, but he's kind of limited himself so far this season. We haven't really seen him break out as much, and he will definitely need to do that because LSU's defense has definitely struggled with mobile quarterbacks all season, as we saw in the A&M game with Marcel Reed.
Yes, I definitely think, the main key for this game for Alabama is, are they going to come into this matchup and be very diligent running the ball this game? As we talked about, Jalen Milroe is dynamic on his feet, and Brian Kelly has already said it. They don't play well against running quarterbacks. So the key for them, they're obviously going to have to avoid penalties and negative plays, and Alabama defense is going to have to play better this week. And then on the LSU side, I think the storyline should be definitely their defense, obviously better than last year's defense, which isn't saying that much. But up against this Alabama offense, all year we have wanted to see Alabama run the football more. And the two games where LSU was exposed to that running game against different teams was that South Carolina game and Texas A&M. Texas A&M ran for 245 yards and South Carolina ran for 243. So that's going to be really the weapon for LSU is, can they stop that running game if that's what Alabama comes in to do? And I think Kalen DeBoer knows that they want to run the ball, but situationally this year, they have been put into situations where they couldn't. So honestly, that's going to be really the tell of the game for me. And, I really think this is going to be a super close one. I really do. I've been on the fence all day about who I am going to pick for this because I know who I want to pick, but I also know who I just feel like is going to win.
Well, I think in Death Valley at night, you already give them at least a field goal advantage or touchdown advantage right there. That they're definitely going to get that. So they're going to put points on the board. Also, you look at the forecast, it suggests a little bit lower temperatures, going to be a little chilly. It might rain. There's a 50% chance of rain. That always impacts the game.
Yeah.
But this is a matchup that's been going on. This is their 89th meeting between Alabama and LSU. Alabama does lead that series 59-27. But LSU's last home win over Alabama came in overtime with Bryce Young leading the charge. And that was a playoff elimination game for Alabama that year. They needed to win that game. Now, when Jalen Milroe took over the team last year, I know they lost early to Texas, but I thought of that Tennessee game and the LSU game as a revenge tour for this Alabama team because they lost both of them. And they came out, and Milroe was able to, under the pressure of already having a one loss, which was all it really took. If you lost again, you were out.
Mhm.
Was able to produce in both of those games. They look great. I know Jaden Daniels was putting up a fight, but the second he left that game, all was easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. And then he also had that 4th and 31 in the Auburn game. Their playoff hopes almost died against Auburn in Jordan O'Hare Stadium. It was almost over, but then they showed out again, and they were able to get there with Jalen Milrow, and then again in the SEC championship game against Georgia. So Milrow has been in these big games, these must-win games, and I'm looking for him to really show out and really find himself
Yep.
in this game. And if he can do that, if he can run, and obviously we saw the running backs get a little bit more play time, get a little bit more hands on the ball against Missouri. If they can do that, I think sky's the limit. They win this game. If they can't, or if LSU limits them, I think it's lights out in Death Valley.
I think so too. I think the key is going to be for Milrow to just settle in and run the ball like he's comfortable with. That will get him settled into the environment, into the game atmosphere, just everything. I think that will be their best chance. But the real question I have too is, whether this Alabama offense can score enough to turn this into a track meet. You could say, LSU is prone to some three and outs and failed offensive possessions. So if the pressure is on to score every drive, things could get a little dicey here in Death Valley. And I think under the lights, like you were saying, it's going to be rocking. Like we've talked about, definitely a bucket list stadium for the both of us to go to. Maybe another year we'll have to make that trip.
Yes,
But
yes.
I think down to the wire, couple minutes left, LSU's going to take it.
Okay. Well, so like you said, if they have to do a score out battle, then I'm putting my hat in the ring with Garrett Nussmeier. He is a great QB in his passing game. He is not
Mhm.
a runner. His rush yards are only 13. Milrow definitely hasn't beat there for 380 rush yards, but you look at their total pass yards, Garrett Nussmeier is exponentially bigger than Jalen Milrow in that stat. Their completion percentage is about the same, but Garrett Nussmeier is more of a passer, whereas Jalen Milrow runs. So it's really the battle of which one's going to win out in this environment. Um, now, I don't really know. You know what? I'm never going to pick against my team. I'm never gonna pick against the Crimson Tide. But I will tell you what my percentages that they would win by in my head, and right now I'm sitting at like a hot 52%, that they can pull this out, and it's really just because I don't know which team is gonna show up for
Yep.
either one of these teams. If the Bama team that showed up in the first half of that Georgia game shows up, they're gonna win.
Yep.
If the Bama team that showed up in the Vandy game comes out there, they're gonna lose by a lot, and it's gonna be embarrassing. And same with LSU. It's like, what are you going to look like on the day? And that is, I just don't know who either one of these teams are right now. They've had such high highs and such low lows on both ends. And it's like, are you going to show up when it matters most? And right now, when there are playoffs on the line, is when it matters most. They've both had bye weeks. Alabama's coaching staff is keen on starting fast and minimizing the crowd impact, which they tried to do against Tennessee too. And you saw how that worked out. Um, so it's just whether or not these teams can adjust to what they know their weak points are with LSU. It's they can't stop the run, they can't stop the mobile quarterback. It throws them off their guard. They know that. They've
Yep.
admitted it, like you said, Brian Kelly. And with Alabama, it's really just the consistency. When they're consistent, I don't think anybody could beat them.
No.
But they're never consistent. That Georgia game, it's like first half was beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you get to the second half and you're like, "Wait, we had such a big lead. Where is it?" It went away. So it's just like, who is going to show up? I know Bama got a big confidence boost after that Missouri game. I think that's exactly what they
Yep.
needed to show that they can do it. But if they had a better QB on the Missouri side, or if Brady Cook was in, if they were at their full strength, I don't think it would have been as easy as it was. Not that it was easy. But this is going to be a very, very fun game. I'm going to pick Bama. I'll never pick against my team, but I think it will definitely be a hard fought battle until the end with like a 3-point difference between the winner and the loser, whoever it may be.
That's what I'm thinking too. I think that's what I've wrestled with all day is, which team is going to show up? Which quarterback really is going to show up? And I think in a game where, every position or every possession is going to count and one turnover could be the difference, who is going to limit those mistakes? And as we looked at both of these quarterbacks all year long, that's one thing they both kind of struggled with on their own personal end. So who will limit the mistakes? And I think that's who will take it. But I also think it's going to be probably a 2 or 3 point game.